everybody! Today on Unwind with me, you're going to learn how to crochet in the round, how to make a slip stitch, how to do increases, and so much more. I hope you really like it. I'll see you next week. Alright, so we have our yarn, our hook, a safety pin to use as a stitch marker, and a pair of scissors. The first thing you're going to want to do is pull up some yarn. You're going to make your slip knot and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Then you're going to yarn over and go back and insert your hook into that first stitch and make 1 double crochet. And then you're going to keep working your first round of stitches into that first chain that we just worked into. So now we have 2 double crochet for our first round, and we want 10 total, so we'll make 8 more. Yarn over into the work, yarn over to pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. When you can crochet over this yarn tail. So I have the loop from the last stitch, my yarn over, and I'm into the work, and then I have this yarn here. So I can hold that down against the hook and kind of pinch it to the back of the work, and then yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and as I hold it there, I'm crocheting over it to hold it in place so it doesn't come unraveled. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Well, hang on, let me turn it. You got to pay very close attention when you're doing this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And as you can see, we've made a small circle going around that first chain in the middle. It's secure, but it leaves a little hole at the back. You can flip it over to the wrong side because you're never going to flip your work when you do circles. And you can take some thread and do a weave-in ends around this circle and tighten it up. Okay, so you have these. How do you finish a row of crocheting in the round? You slip stitch in to your first stitch. So I have 10 here with the chain 3 acting as my first stitch. So I count 1, 2, 3 to the top of it. And then to slip stitch, all you do is you don't yarn over, you just have that 1 extra loop on your hook. You insert your hook into your work, so you have the V. You yarn over and you pull through that loop, and then you keep pulling till it's through both. It's just a flat joining kind of a stitch. The next time we do it, I'll try and get it close up for you. So you have completed your very first round of crochet. So what do you do for your next row of crocheting in the round, as they call it? Well, now you have to increase it on all sides and in an even amount so it stays a circle and flat. There's a little bit of math to it, but it does follow a pattern. So the first round is going to be your number of stitches, however many that is. The second round is going to be all increases. So to increase, we'll chain 3 to make our first stitch. Then we'll yarn over and we'll go into the same place as our chain 3 so that we have 2 stitches in the same spot. So we have the stitch that is supposed to be there, and then we have one more to increase. So yarn over, into the work, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And you'll do this one stitch for one stitch and then another to increase all of the way around your circle. In the next slide, I'll show you the pattern and the math a bit behind when you increase. But the trick of it is just that you're increasing evenly around the circle. And as you continue with more rows, the increases will get farther and farther apart. Alright, so now we have reached the end of the second row and we have evenly increased all the way around to make it bigger and to keep it round. Now, I could have had this safety pin in this first stitch so that I wouldn't lose it at the top. However, I have a pretty big gap, so I can see where it is. You could always keep a safety pin in that top stitch to mark it, and it's something I actually recommend. So again, we're going to slip stitch the beginning and the end of our row together, so we'll count up from the bottom, 1, 2, 3 to the top of that chain 3 that acted as our first stitch. We'll go in, pull up a loop, and it goes straight through the last loop on the hook. And there you have your second row of crocheting in the round. To start your next row, you will chain 3 like you did last time, and then you do not increase. So you have the 1, you yarn over into the work, yarn over to pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and now is when you increase. 1 double crochet in that stitch, followed by an increase, and then 1 double crochet. And that's how you will work the third round of your crochet circle. At first, it's going to feel a little bit odd, and you're going to need to keep track of how you're increasing, but the more you do it, it'll become second nature. Because if you were making a flat circle, you will always increase in this manner. Sometimes certain patterns will have you increase unevenly to get a particular kind of shape. But for the most part, if you want something that's flat, you will increase in this manner. And for every row that you make, you will put more stitches between your increases. So for this row, I only put 1 stitch between all of my increases. The next row, you would put 2 stitches between your increases. The row after that, you would put 3 stitches between your increases. And as you do this, the circumference widens and your crochet circle stays flat. And this is true of any size stitch. So I would increase in this manner if I was doing a single crochet or a half double crochet. So I've reached the end. I will count up, insert my hook into the work, and slip stitch together. And it sometimes curls a bit because of tension, but for the most part, it'll lie flat and be a circle. And you can continue on in this manner as long as you like, really. So I have my 1, I have in that stitch, I have 1 in this stitch, so I have 2. And then I increase. I have 2 regular double crochet stitches, and then an increase, and so on and so forth. The more you do it, the more predictable it starts to feel. You won't need to count because you'll just see that past increase and you'll know when to add the next one. The math of how many stitches should I have this row will be very apparent, which is nice. Alright, as you can see, I've gone ahead and finished off my circle. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. I had the initial 10, and then I had a row of just increases, and then I had a row of increases with 1 double crochet between them, and then I had a row of increases with 2 double crochets between them. And it, for the most part, lies flat. I have pretty tight tension, so mine tends to curl, but after if I washed it or let it sit out for a bit, it would slowly start to lay flat again. Crocheting in the round is very important to general crochet technique. Not many things are actually worked in rows. Very specific things are, but a lot of blankets and other big items are worked in a round. Next week, I'm going to show you how to make granny squares in the round. So you use the same kind of techniques of going around and around. You never flip it, so there's always a wrong side and a right side. But it makes squares that you can then sew together to make large blankets. And they're really fun to make, and they're quick and they're easy. So next week, what you're going to need is acrylic yarn, your hook, a safety pin, scissors, and a needle, and we're going to be doing granny squares and granny square variations. They're actually quite a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. If anything I'm showing you isn't clear, if you're left-handed and I'm right-handed, so that makes it hard to follow along. Some people do better with written instructions. There's a lot of good crochet tutorials out there. So take a look around, find some stuff that works for you. So I will see you next week.